Good afternoon. My name is Mike Hurst. I'm the United States Attorney for the Southern District of Mississippi, and we welcome you here today. Before I begin, I want to give credit where credit is due. A huge thank you goes to the Acting Director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Matt Alpins. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
To our Homeland Security Investigations Branch, specifically Special Agent in charge. I made you acting, Jerry Miles. Some special agents who have been involved with this operation for a while, such as Tim Meadows, Chris Heck, Todd Williams, Francisco Ayala, and Ron Johnson, as well as many, many other federal, state, and local law enforcement involved in this operation, including our own Assistant United States Attorneys Aaron Chalk, Darren Lamarca, Courtney Coker, and Pat Lemon. 11 years ago this month, ICE special agents in our office executed search warrants at what was then the largest single workplace immigration enforcement operation in our nation's history, right here in the Southern District of Mississippi, detaining at that one time 595 illegal aliens. Today, as a result of the hard work of these men and women in law enforcement, we have set another record, this time in what is believed to be the largest single state immigration enforcement operation in our nation's history. Today, at 7 sites in 6 different cities around the Southern District of Mississippi, HSI special agents executed administrative and criminal search warrants, resulting in the detention of approximately 680 illegal aliens. Now, while we are a nation of immigrants, more than that, we are first and foremost a nation of laws. And the rule of law is the bedrock, the very foundation of our great country. I heard someone say a country without borders is no country at all. And while I agree with that, I would also add, without law, there is no order. Without the enforcement of law, there is no justice. Today, through the hard work of these men and women in law enforcement, we are once again becoming a nation of law and order. And we will continue to ensure that justice is done. The United States of America is the greatest nation in the history of the world. And it's no wonder that people from around the world want to come here to our country. But while we do welcome folks from other countries, they have to follow our laws. They have to abide by our rules. They have to come here legally, or they shouldn't come here at all. And the same goes for our employers. To those who take advantage of illegal aliens, to those who use illegal aliens for a competitive advantage or to make a quick buck, we have something to say to you. If we find that you have violated federal criminal law, we're coming after you. Once again, I commend our partners with HSI for conducting this operation with the respect and the dignity for the safety and welfare of our fellow man and our fellow woman, no matter their illegality. But since this is an ongoing federal criminal investigation, I don't want to say too much other than we in the U.S. Attorney's Office and with HSI and our other federal partners will continue to do our job to investigate and to prosecute those who choose to violate our federal criminal laws in order to make our citizens safer and our country more secure. At this time, I want to turn it over to Acting Director of the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Matt Alpins. Matt.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us today. I'd like to thank U.S. Attorney Hurst, Special Agent in Charge Jerry Miles of Homeland Security Investigations, Scott Sutterfield, who's the Acting Field Office Director for ICE Enforcement and Removal Operations, and their tremendous staffs both within the U.S. Attorney's Office as well as within HSI and ERO, that made this case possible today and will going forward. ICE is committed to the enforcement of all laws under its purview, to include both the criminal and civil enforcement of the immigration laws passed by Congress. The laws surrounding illegal employment and the responsibility of employers stems from the Immigration Reform and Control Act of 1986. These are not new laws, nor is the enforcement of them new. The arrests today were the result of a year-long criminal investigation, and the arrests and warrants that were executed today are just another step in that investigation. HSI is committed to enforcing the immigration laws of this country, especially with regard to employment, utilizing a three-pronged approach: compliance, enforcement, and outreach. Employers need to understand that the integrity of their employment records are just as important to the federal government as the integrity of tax files or banking records. HSI's commitment to this enforcement of these laws is evidenced by the significant increase of worksite enforcement actions in FY 2018, in which 6,848 cases initiated, 779 criminal arrests, 1,225 administrative arrests, and 5,981 I-9 inspections. Simply put, strong interior enforcement is essential to enter any border security strategy. You cannot have one without the other. As our intelligence and information shows, many of the people illegally crossing the border are economic migrants, and cases such as these help reduce the magnet created by illegal employment that is easily obtained. These are not victimless crimes. Illegal workers create vulnerabilities in the marketplace by presenting false documents to obtain illegal employment, enriching the criminal organizations that traffic in fraudulent documents, often these same organizations that are smuggling these people to the country in the first place, as well as stealing the identities of legal U.S. workers, citizens and lawful immigrants alike, who must suffer the often long-lasting consequences of their stolen identities. Thank you.
Because this is an ongoing federal criminal investigation, we can take no questions at this time as to the specific facts and circumstances surrounding the execution of these search warrants today. We are happy to take any other questions you may have.
Mike, you say you arrested 680 illegal aliens. What about the people who were employing these illegal aliens? Were they arrested?
We can't comment on that right now, Ross. Anyone else?
What is the situation of the people arrested today? They are in the detention center right now, or they will be deported soon?
You want to answer that?
So each case will be handled individually. We are in the process of going through each individual, and depending on their circumstances, depends what happens to them ultimately. Some of those individuals we're looking to prosecute criminally. Some of these individuals are here illegally, have already gone through the immigration court process, have been ordered removed by an immigration judge, and have failed to comply with that removal order. Those individuals we will look to swiftly remove. On the other individuals who have yet to go through the immigration process, it's just as in any other investigation or arrest made by a state or local law enforcement agency. Our arrest of these individuals is the front end of the process. We will process them, we will place them in front of an immigration judge where they will make their case as to whether or not they have a lawful right to remain in the country. The judge ultimately makes a decision as to whether or not these individuals can stay. If the judge orders them removed, then we will execute those removal orders on the back end of that process.
What led to these searches, these raids today?
Again, we can't get into specifics with regard to this investigation.
But you say this investigation started over a year ago, and you've been, I guess, looking at all these poultry processing plants across central Mississippi?
Again, you're getting into specifics that we're really not in a position to answer any questions about.
In the meantime, what will happen to those children who were out there, sons and daughters of those individuals who was taken in?
So each case, again, is dealt with on an individual circumstance. A parent being apprehended and placed in detention is a common tactic that happens throughout law enforcement. You go out to any jurisdiction, state or local or otherwise, and they make an arrest for somebody, and that person is a parent, that individual is going to go to jail, and that child is going to be left alone or have to be left with a family member. What we have done, and leading far forward, have established a process through which we've worked with school liaison officers, to help find placement for these children. Most of the times these individuals or these children will be placed with another family member or the parents choosing. In some instances, some of the parents that were arrested will be released. They'll be placed on an ankle monitor and be monitored throughout the pendency of their immigration proceedings, but they may be released and go back to their home, so they would be back home tonight or tomorrow once they're completing that processing. But each case is individually.
Did you say some of these people will be prosecuted for criminal, I guess, violations of U.S. law in addition to being in the country illegally?
Well, let me address that, Director. Right now, these individuals who were detained are being processed, and based upon that process, based upon their criminal history, based upon their status in our thresholds in our office, we will determine at a later date who we prosecute criminally. So right now, Ross, we don't have any numbers on who we prosecute. Back to the question this gentleman had back here, I would tell you this HSI office has gone above and beyond what I've seen around the country, in the sense that I'm told those who were detained initially and released for humanitarian reasons are being shipped back to the point from where they were detained. So whether it be Canton or either ankle monitoring or other some type of monitoring, so they will be reporting to a federal immigration judge. I don't have numbers for you right now, Ross. I'm sorry.
Mike,
Yeah, Jeff.
Does your office intend to prosecute everyone who has returned after being deported or everyone who has overstayed a deportation order?
We haven't made that determination yet, Jeff.
You mentioned 3 cities. You said there were 6. Can you mention the 3 others?
Yeah. So we have 2 sites in Morton, a site in Carthage, Canton, Pelahatchie, Walnut Grove, and Bay Springs. Yes, sir.
In Atlanta, received several thousand try to scare them. It's true. What is the real message you want to send the community?
The message we're sending is, if you violate federal law, there will be consequences. We're not directing this at any particular group or anything like that. As I said earlier, if we find that employers have violated federal criminal law, we'll go after them as well. This is simply a message of our country is based upon the rule of law. Our jobs in law enforcement is to enforce our laws, and that is what we're doing in this operation.
But Mike, you don't think these companies were employing 680 people and they didn't know their immigration status?
I can't say anything to that, Ross.
It seems to me
And I hate to do kind of cases.
Do you feel like you're being directed by President Trump to do this, to take this?
Sir?
You feel like you're being directed?
We're being directed to enforce the law, period. Yes, ma'am?
Yeah, that was
I have not received any phone calls from President Trump.
Again, was there any concern, Mike, about executing these search warrants so soon after the awful tragedy in El Paso last weekend?
Ross, I wish I could tell you we began this operation Sunday. But as the director said, this operation began over a year ago. You don't bring over 650 special agents from around the country into the Southern District of Mississippi in a matter of 3 days without preparation for months and months and months. So while the tragedies Saturday and this weekend around the country are horrific, This operation had been planned way before that, and we intended to carry it out.
Do you think you're going to force a permanent change in how the poultry processing industry operates?
Our intention, Jeff, is simply to enforce the law. I don't have any intention on changing cultures in companies other than them following the law.
We have time for two more questions.
Do you have an age range of the